dime or a golazo. Anyways, Tom Bogert is with us, and he's from CBS Sports' Golazo Network, and we've got a lot of soccer to talk about. So when I put it all in front of you, though, you choose as the person. And by the way, luscious, everything you got going.
Fantastic.
Luscious, what you got going everywhere with the face, everywhere around the face. You are the luscious Tom Bogert. So thank you for joining us from the CBS Sports.
Does have a sad background.
Golazo Network. Yes, it is a luscious.
He just moved in.
Prisoner.
Guys, he just moved in.
No, you guys are so good and so right about this. We have never had a juxtaposition of such a sparse background with such a luscious foreground.
What's that shelf? Is like built into the wall?
Yeah,
Like, what is that?
What are
Look
you
at all
doing?
the designs on that shirt.
You got boxes all over your house, don't you? You haven't put anything in the house yet, have you?
Absolutely. We've been doing a lot of work on this house. I was hoping that somebody could get the message to Stugotz. Probably not. I know that he's unreachable, but you see a little Grateful Dead cup right there. I thought that might make up for the lack of presence on the wall.
Get me the clap book!
Yeah,
Yes.
need to dress us up.
It's time. I got to support
Paperback.
something. What do I support? Local.
Paperback.
I got nothing. You guys are totally right. That's why I was hoping that everything would come, like you said, Dan, and the mustache, the hair.
Oh,
That's
it's
my
good.
entire personality trait. So
All right.
I was hoping we just focused here.
Well, so among the things that we've been talking about, okay, U.S. soccer being an embarrassment, the idea that Miami is about to host a game that is potentially embarrassing because they can't sell any tickets. Start where you wish among the 5 soccer items right now that everybody's talking about.
Well, let's start with the Club World Cup because U.S. soccer is just too sad and too depressing, even though this is real-world stuff that is even more depressing. But, Dan, I'll kick it back to you because there are 3 things that are dominating the conversation around the Club World Cup, and none of them have to do with any games. The first is that ticket sales are straight up bad. It's been less than expected, and there's a whole lot to get into there. Number 2 is the labor dispute between the MLS Players Association and the league itself for the 3 participating clubs over compensation in getting to this tournament. And then number 3, which is absolutely the saddest, is the immigration policies in this country under this administration and the presence of ICE at these games, which is just really, really awful. So you tell me where you want to go.
Oh, did I hear labor dispute? Sound like I heard a little bit of union talk.
Did I hear immigration protest talk? It sounds like I've got something I want to talk about.
Did I hear opening the door to sacking Pochettino?
Ooh, already?
Is that a soup?
Delicious.
You can start with immigration because sports is about to have, or is already and always having, politics in the mix. So we are about to head into, 18 months of optics that are bad and protests that will feel like they're happening in a different country than this one if things keep escalating to state militia levels.
Dan, that was my overarching takeaway. So ICE is going to be doing, quote, security for some of these games. Why? I have no idea. And ICE told NBC Miami that non-American fans going to these games need to show proof of legal status. Just take that sentence. This is the United States of America. This is such a foreign concept, something that, again, growing up underprivileged, I've never even considered. Like, my baseline of all of the struggle, and again, I've been listening to the show since I was in college and a dumb college kid. Now I'm just a dumb 30-year-old. So you guys have helped me expand my horizons on all this, and it's just not something I could ever have assumed that would happen in the United States. So that's where that starts. And this dovetails with what's going on with American soccer and immigration status in this country. So in Nashville earlier this season, the predominantly Hispanic supporters group called La Brigada de Oro they stopped coming to games because they were fearing ICE raids at games, which is just extremely sad to start before anything else that's super serious and heartbreaking that, hey, we're just not going to go to the game because I'm afraid I'm going to get deported. LAFC, their supporters, they have a predominantly Hispanic supporter base as well, and they've had protests of ICE. They've had banners in the stadium protesting ICE. And obviously this is all with the background of the protests that are going around in Los Angeles. And this is something that is absolutely entwined with the soccer culture in this country right now.
Dominique, as someone who found himself taunted by his 12-year-old boy about his wife being in a car with a flirting Luis, were you intimidated by the way Tom flourished under that luscious head of hair, La Brigada de Oro, the way that he said Spanish extra Spanish?
Oh, no, because we're in different leagues. We're playing different games. If that's your thing, I'm not your thing. So, yeah, I mean, Tom, you play your lane. No, I mean,
I'm just saying, he said that with a little bit extra, and I want to know when exactly you got good at that, going in between languages for the people to make yourself credible to all sides.
Mi español es muy mal. I just got back from Buenos Aires, and I had promised myself I was going to be conversational in Spanish.
You
by
just
the
got
time
back
I got
from
there.
Where? Where'd you get back from?
Buenos Aires. Is that good?
Iris.
You nailed it.
Aires.
Iris.
No, you got it, man.
Iris.
I think that underpins my entire point there, so that's unfortunate. But hey, you know, life gets in the way sometimes. But next time I'll get it right.
How is the coverage of the issue that you're speaking of there? Like, obviously, we've talked around here about the political strategy as expressed by Steve Bannon of just have the executive orders ready so that anytime something horrifying is in the
Stephen Miller,
news,
that's a
you
fine.
Well,
Steve Bannon
it was
too,
Steve
but
Miller
it was Stephen
today.
Miller. It's Stephen Miller right now.
It was
Fine.
Steve
That's
Miller
what we're talking
today,
about.
but
Fine.
Steve.
Half a fine?
It's
Judges?
Steve Bannon's contention that you just flood every day with scandal. And so if you have executive orders lined up to get everything out of the news with the next horrifying thing that you're going to put out there, you drown in a bunch of stories where people aren't talking enough, because this is still, I think, Tom, I have this right, minorities in this country who are Hispanic are going to feel this a little bit differently when they see brown people rounded up this way and treated as threats. It's going to arrive a little more personally, and to have it fall under an avalanche of other news that makes it less noticeable that this is Nazi Germany stuff that you're starting down the path of. I'm just curious where it is this ties into how it is it's being covered in your world.
It's whack-a-mole, right? Even the way that we started this interview. You said, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, here's 3 super serious things that could have led this interview. It could have been all that we talked about. And I said, hey, you pick, because there's just so much to get to. And even, again, talking about the immigration status and the Nashville supporters group, as you say, it affects the predominantly brown people. And Nashville has other supporters groups. And they have stood side by side with La Brigada de Oro because they are together, right? But they were at the stadium. They were at the stadium with banners and making sure that one section was completely open so people knew. But it's not going to affect a white American citizen the same way that it will that supporters group or others. So it's something that you can relate to. It's something you can empathize towards, but you can't feel it in the same way as the people who are under direct attacks by this administration.
How much of a disaster is this ticket sales scenario?
It's not great. So the ticket sales have been super Americanized. I say that the ticket prices started off way too high. And FIFA were hoping that the American consumer, the South American consumer, and Central American consumer would come and be happy to pay whatever. Because in Europe, you can still see Liverpool for $50, at least under $100. That was one of the best teams in Europe this year. And in America, we're just beaten down by the normalcy that we've surrendered to of the prices being insane. Like, can you say that for any NFL team? Can you go to a game for $100? Like maybe Jacksonville in December when they're out of a playoff race. I'm a long-suffering Knicks fan. I was in college in young 20s when they were as hopeless could be. The only tickets I could afford was a Sunday against the New Orleans Pelicans in February, and those were still more than $100. So it's just two different worlds. The European consumer is not going to take this tournament as seriously as FIFA hopes. FIFA is trying to use, blunt force to just force it through, and like, this matters. This is all the money. These are all the teams. Come. But you look at that opening match Miami is playing. They are running a sale right now of tickets for $20, where you get one to the game, the opening game, and you're promised 4 more. So that breaks down to $5 a ticket or $4 a ticket to see Lionel Messi. Do you remember the furor that was in this country when Lionel Messi first got here, and even the first whole year? Like, FIFA could not have expected this in any way, even when they helped to kind of force and help Miami into the tournament.
That's unbelievable.
So it's not going well.
Can we talk about something happy? Is there anything in soccer that's happy? Like, gosh, like we're talking about, we can't sell tickets. People are getting deported out of matches. Pochettino stinks, and the golden generation is falling short. Is there anything in soccer that's awesome? Like, I don't know. If not, what's your favorite soup?
Not a soup guy in any way, so we're 0 for 2 here on that one.
Well, I guess you gotta find something about soccer that will make me happy.
Labor disputes. I know that you want to get into that.
Oh, I love it. I mean, disputes are still kind of sad. Is there anything good about something good? Right? Like, we don't talk about soccer much. We come to soccer right now to talk about how awful everything is. Like, I enjoy. I'm looking forward to the World Cup. We got that next year. It's gonna be fun watching our golden generation fall short. Oh gosh, this stinks.
Again, not
Outlook
happy.
is not good. Outlook is not good. The MLS is fun. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I'll wait for Mike Ryan to kind of chime in here, but that's where I do my work and
why
make my
is it
money.
a cup of tea there? Do we have any idea why it would be everyone's cup of tea? Do we need to redo that one?
I'm on it.
I don't feel like everyone's a tea drinker
Bailiwick?
here. I do want to talk about how bad the U.S. team is, though.
Yeah, let's
Dan-
get into it. And sorry, Dan. I wanted to say too. One of my goals for this interview was to not say an empty platitude. That made you go, "What? Where does cup of tea come from?"
I'm sorry that happened to
Sorry,
you.
but that's always minus 600 to any guest hit that we have. The United States is on a big time losing streak. Everybody was sick of Greg Berhalter. It seemed that he maximized his experience here, and they made a big splashy hire. And while most soccer fans like myself were happy with the ambition of bringing in a name, and it seemed very important to bring in a name here, Pochettino's resume is starting to look worse and worse. The more success PSG has, the more success Chelsea has. Hell, even Tottenham get a trophy. He wasn't able to do that, although I know he was very successful over there for Tottenham. This doesn't seem like the right voice in that locker room. And I know a lot of this falls on the players. The roster isn't great. There are players injured and not available to him. But there is precedent for host nations to get rid of a manager when they're already qualified for a World Cup, and it sparked them in the past. You look at Russia. You looked at South Korea in 2002. Is there, and I know he's paid a lot of money and the buyout's probably crazy here, but is there a chance that the U.S. wakes up and realizes they're not getting the results they're looking for here, or are they married to this process?
Mike, you talked about a home nation firing a manager to give them a spark. That was Mauricio Pochettino. That's what this was. And again, there's a ton to criticize Mauricio Pochettino about right now, and I will do so in a minute. But I do want to say, let's not do revisionist history here. This was a widely celebrated hire. Everybody was ready for Greg Berhalter to be fired, and myself included, and I had been a defender of his for a while. I don't think he should have came back for a second cycle at all, no matter what. But when he was back, it was time for him to go. But that was the move to try to spark something. The most disappointing part about this summer isn't just the results and the performances, though those are extremely disappointing. It's that we went into this, even if they, drew against Switzerland with, 7 starters from the first choice pool missing? What would it have meant? What would it have mattered? We're not getting any real games with the top players in this group, the players who will start the opening game of the World Cup. There will be maybe 2 or 3 that were on the field over these last 2 games. So even if things went well, what did we learn? But this set us up for things to only go poorly, and it's gone even poorer than we could have imagined.
Yeah, the talent of the players, I guess that's one of the major criticisms. Is Pochettino style, more ball possession and also more free-flowing as far as positions are concerned. I feel like the mismatch there for our talent, our guys are like explosive American athletes. We got to hold back and have fast breaks. Is there any hope that Pochettino's style will evolve in a way that will let our players do what they do best?
Pochettino sounds like a great soup, by the way.
It does.
Also, Dom knows ball. That's when the U.S. men's national team is always at its best. A counter-attacking team that uses its athletes, defend well, send a long ball, let an athlete chase, and capitalize on one of your 3
That's
opportunities.
how I play.
But Mike, you're completely right. The way I've been saying, again, even under Berhalter, when my criticisms were there, is that this group is at its best when you have 9 piano carriers, just a bunch of dudes who work and a bunch of dudes who are going to get stuck in and defend really well. And then you have a couple piano players. You look back at those greatest teams of kind of our generation, those were a bunch of piano carriers and then Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey to make the magic in the final third. And we've gotten away from that. We've wanted to play this, total football style. We're under Berhalter, everything's detail-oriented, totally controlled. And at the national level, you can't just go buy another player. This isn't where you say, okay, our left back isn't good enough for this style. Let's go get another one. No, you have what you have. And what I do like about Pochettino is I think that he will adapt to the strengths of the players. We haven't seen enough evidence of it yet. But the problem with the team that was on the field against Switzerland, they didn't have those athletes. Yeah. Switzerland, the physical advantage that Switzerland had over the United States was jarring. And that's, again, supposed to be one of our general strong suits. That and goalkeeping. Matt Turner wasn't good enough over these last 2 games, particularly against Switzerland. So it's really disappointing the way that these games are being lost.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does Tom have the most excellent ratio of eyebrows to mustache that
That's
you
fantastic.
have ever seen
It's so true.
in your life at LeBatard Show? Tom, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate the maiden journey, sir.
Thank you, guys. Look forward to being on again.
Don't assume that.
This episode is presented